Hey guys, and welcome back to Regrexit, Brexit Britain, where the motto of the country is do as I say and not as I do. And also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages you sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that have signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all the messages, I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all the messages for definite. So, overnight, obviously, we've had BBC Sports Personality of the Year handed over to the young Emma Raducanu. What a year that young lady has had, right? You know, just took her A levels, I believe, and then went on to win a little competition in America. And now she's been crowned Sports Personality of the Year. First woman to win it for 15 years, I think, and then first tennis player to win it, woman tennis player to win it from since I think someone like Virginia Wade probably. So all know how long ago that was, because that was way back in the 70s or where it was. Do you know what I mean? So if you can remember that, good luck to you. All right. And then we had oh god, I can't remember her surname. Young Sky, I think her name is, isn't it? She BMX rider, I think, wasn't she? Something like that. Yeah. Yes, and she won the young sports personality of the year as well. Do you know what I mean? So congratulations to both them two young ladies. And I'm sure that massive things await them in the future. All right. So we've got I don't know if you saw, obviously Rishi Sunak, right? Or we should say Rishi California Sunak, right? Has flown back, right? Because you know what? British hospitality, right, has gone down the toilet, right? Because what these guys have done here, they've made part announcements, right, to say, well, the scientists are saying, well, you know what, you guys need to keep the fuck away from each other. Don't go near each other, right? Don't be having Christmas parties and all that shit, right? But the government haven't taken that line. They haven't taken that line at all. Do you know what I mean? So what that has done, right? That has made British hospitality go to pot, right? The amount of parties that I'm hearing have been cancelled, obviously in pubs, or in restaurants, in hotels, people are cancelling all their shit. Do you know what I mean? So which means obviously that those bookings, once those bookings are cancelled, right? But I'm not sure whether this close to the booking, whether you can get your money back, because unless the government come out and lock these things down, right, then there's going to be, there's a point to argue there, because the company can just say, well, we was there waiting for you, we was ready, and the other company will say, well, we couldn't do it because we had advice from the scientists not to mingle in that way, right? So the whole thing is very, very confusing for everyone, but more so for the people in hospitality, right, who have to rely on this time, right, for to cover a lot of money, right, that they might have lost throughout the year, or to take them through to to March to April, right? And the same happened in retail on Saturday just gone, right, where a lot of the retail, right, just got stuffed. It just got stuffed because on a day on this day, I think last year, right, so they took something like 1.5 billion on the high streets, right, and that must have been that's probably down, really, that must have been massively down from years before, right? So they took, but they said it was nothing like that. This, I don't know, they haven't put the figures yet, but it's going to be like a lot lower. Do you know what I mean? Because apparently on Saturday out shopping everywhere was just completely dead after the announcements from the scientists, but not from the government, because the government haven't given any advice on shutting anything down or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, Boris Johnson is up against it with the ERG, the English racist group, right, who are pulling all the strings, right? So he's up against it with them because all of them, right, they just all will just vote against whatever it is he does, right? So he will have to rely on Labour to get anything through, right? Because they will just keep voting it down, especially when it comes to COVID, any restrictions coming to COVID. right? And these guys are ready to put these 50 whatever letters in, right? To remove Boris Johnson, especially over this issue, right? They seem to be. Right, so Boris Johnson's he's in a real bind at the moment, right? And he doesn't know where to. He has no clue where to go because he can't. If he goes for more restrictions, then the ERG comes after him, right? And if he doesn't go for more restrictions, right, then and this particular strain gets more dangerous, then he's gonna be so much problem. So he's worked his way into a corner on this one. Do you know what I mean? And he's finding it very, very difficult to get out. So as I was saying, so Rishi Sunak, right, or California Dream Rishi Sunak, right? Because you do know that Rishi's got he's got a beautiful house over in California, right? You do know that, right? But I'm sure that all of you working class Tories and you benefit Tories, I'm sure you've all got properties over in California, and that's the reason why you look at Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson and say, you know what, these people, right, are my working class heroes. These people, they're my working class heroes, right? Rishi's the billionaire. Why do you need to be ruled? I don't get this. Why do you need to be ruled? Those people should be in opposition, right, to a working class party in this country. They should be in the opposition, mouthing off, right, telling the working class government, oh, you do too much for people. That's what they should be doing. But no, you want them to rule, right? So Rishi he's flown back to London, right? To come back and save hospitality. What you got to understand about these people, right, is this, right? None of this affects them, okay? It doesn't affect them in any way, right? They've made you vote for Brexit, okay, right? And Brexit doesn't affect them in any way at all. Doesn't affect them. The only way it affects them, right, is by us complaining about the shit that we can't get in the shops. That's what it affects them. But do you think they really care? Right? All of these journalists, right, and all of these politicians, right, who encourage people to vote for something against their own interests, none of their jobs are on the line. Not one of their jobs are on the line. Okay, because people say, oh well, Nigel Farage, he was an MEP and he's not anymore. Nigel Farage is a millionaire, right? And he's still getting, I guarantee he's still getting a fantastic pension from the EU right now. Okay, so that's what the difference is, right? People like Nigel Farage, they don't need to work for the rest of their life. They don't need to do that. Okay, he's working on behalf of you to fuck your life up. Okay, that's what the work that these guys are doing. Right, it's for me, it's really insulting for you guys, for these people to be doing this, right? Because as I said, it does not affect them in any way, shape, or form. They don't care, right? They've got enough money to get by. They've got more than enough money to get by for this life and another one after that. So they've got more than enough to get by on. Okay, that's why Rishi Sunak can say, oh, I've been in, I'm on in California. I'm not on holiday. I mean, who goes to California for holiday? Anyone who goes to California just goes there for a business meeting anyway. That's what I've heard. Right. So so these people, right, with their lovely big houses, right, in California and places like that, right, and you are a red wall Tory, right, who has never left this country. And if you have, it's been probably to go to Spain from the coupon what you got out of the Sun newspaper. But somehow, right, you and Rishi Sunak are shoulder to shoulder. He's fighting your cause from his house in California. And you know they've got some beautiful houses. Let me tell you, they've got some beautiful houses. And you know, if you're a billionaire, you could just imagine how palatial that shit is. You could just imagine. I mean, you don't even have to think, but you could just imagine. Yeah. So anyway, I said Rishi's come back to save hospitality. First of all, he left it a bit late. Right? And secondly, the first thing he said was when he came back, there are already things in place, right, to look after these people. There's already things in place from left over from the last lockdown. Those things are still there, minus the furlough, of course, but those things are still there to look after that. So it looks like, right, that he's come back to say, well, can't do anything to help you. You're on your own. All right, you need to get there on your jacks. Right? So that's what it looked like he's come back to say, because that's what he has come back to say. He might as well have done that shit over Zoom. In fact, he did do it over Zoom. So imagine that, right? He flew to California to have a meeting, right? And then he came back to Britain to have a meeting on Zoom. I don't know if you've worked out what I'm trying to say there. See, you would think, right, that he could have the meeting in California on Zoom, from Britain on Zoom to California. Then he could have a face-to-face with the meeting with the people from the British hospitality industry, face-to-face. I mean, that would be more eco-friendly, firstly. Right? And secondly, he'd get a big kiss from Greta Thunberg. Right? But you have to say, well, hold on a minute, how the hell does that work? You flew to California for a meeting. Wasn't really a meeting. He was there on holiday, because right now Rishi's making manoeuvres on the big job. Right? And just like John Major, right, when everything was going awry for Mrs. Thatcher, just like John Major, because John Major was away at the time as well. He decided he can keep out of the way and just see what happens. And next thing, he was Prime Minister. So that's what Rishi's doing. Rishi's just keeping out of the way. But this new COVID variant has come back and it's messed them up now, because obviously this one is, you know, it's doubling every day. The numbers are just doubling and doubling and doubling, right? So, and we won't know the real effects, right? Because, you know, the population in South Africa, we've got a different population in South Africa where this variant has come from. Different population out there, younger, and a different diet, and plus it's summer over there as well, right? So hitting over here now, we're going to see, you know, in like, you know, it's probably the first week in January is when we're actually going to know the real effects of this new variant, right? So Rishi's had to get his ass back, right? But, you know, as I said, he might as well have just stayed in California and just had the meeting from there, right, over Zoom with the people from the British hospitality, right? Because when he got back here, that's what he done. He had the meeting over Zoom. But, you know, I'm quite sure that this government, right, is the best you guys have ever seen, right? You Brexiters and you working class and benefit Tories. There's great government for you, right? Anyway, right, I don't know if you've seen the in the Philippines, right? The devastation of the typhoon, the super typhoon in the Philippines, you know what I mean, has been absolutely horrendous, right? You know, the last death count I heard was probably around 215 people dead. Do you know what I mean? And you know, that is you know, they're yeah, you know, it's just, when I say absolutely horrendous. And you know, well, they're not as rich as the Americans, so obviously you know, they're gonna need a lot more help than, you know, you know, the rest of the world don't really need to come to the aid for the Americans as such, because the Americans can, you know, they've got plenty of help, you know, in their own country, that they can help themselves. But people like the Philippines, you know, the rest of the world has to really step in and make sure that that they get back to normal as soon as possible, because you know, they have been completely devastated, Absolutely, when I tell you, absolutely devastated, just completely devastated again. Do you know what I mean? So it just shows you again, yeah, what when nature's ready, what it can really do, and you know, it doesn't. Nature doesn't hold back at all. It just like you know, it's nature can be really evil when it's ready. Right, and you know, as shown what happened in America, and you know, and now what's shown what happened in the Philippines. 'Cause I think Philippines was, I'm sure it must have been around the same day, yeah. Right, but most of the news coverage, right, was about the flipping Americans. Most of the news coverage. That's how I missed that story. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's only that you know one of my contributors, you know, sent a message to say, well, what about the Philippines, mate? Do you know what I mean? And then I started. Then I looked into the story, but the story. It's not like the story was bang on the news. Do you know what I mean? It's you know, this story should have been all over the place, just like the Americans was. Do you know what I mean? And you know, you have to look at the media and say to the media, listen, you know something? Yeah, you guys need to fucking pull your fucking finger out. Right, you know why is it right? The America, you know, everyone in the world knows all about what's going on in America, right? But you know, it's very limited the information that we're getting over the Philippines. You know, which I find really insulting. Do you know what I mean? You know, just really insulting because you know, the Americans are no more important than the people of the Philippines. Do you know what I mean? You know, we're all human beings, and we all should be treated. And this just shows you that there's no equal treatment. Do you know what I mean? There's no equal treatment for people around the world. There's just no equal treatment at all. Do you know what I mean? Nobody, right, is more important than anybody else. Right, and you know, every single life, right, should be celebrated, right. That you know, that's just a simple way around it. Do you know what I mean? Right, you know, it just goes to show you, yeah, that you know we have like we have our special days, yeah, VE Day and do you know what I mean, VEJ Day and you know, and all these type of things, right? Where we remember, you know, people who have died in like, you know, people who have died in wars and all those things there. Do you know what I mean? But you know, still, you know, 750,000 people murdered in Iran, in Iraq, right? And where's this? What special day do we have to actually remember those people? Do you know what I mean? You know, because you know it's us, the West, that done that, right? But you know, there's no fallen hero status for any of them people, right? But you know, we've got things like Armistice Day and all these type of things. Do you know what I mean? Where you know we mourn, things that our past, but there's none of that for for other people for destructions that we have caused in other places. Do you know what I mean? So so when I see stories like that, what's happening in the Philippines, right, as opposed to what's happening in America, right, and I'm seeing America getting the top billing on all over the place, I just look at that and say, you know what, it's just ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? And like right now, yeah, these parties and these cheese and wine affairs and all that. You know what? Yeah, I just look at these guys. You know something? Yeah, is that what you do all the time? Is it just cheese and wine up in there all the time? Is that all what's going on? Right? They've got a massive picture this morning of these guys in the gardens of Downing Street, right? Basically, you're having like an outdoor gathering, right, with cheese and wine and professional catering, right? Oh, now these guys, I mean, see, listen, what you got to understand, right? If I'm keeping a party, right, you come in there and cheese and wine. Come on, man. These guys need to be more creative. They say, where's all the mini Jamaican patties, right? The micro dumplings, well, depending on which island you'll be from, because that could be bakes, dumpling, Johnny cakes, festivals, but micro. Right, the micro, the little, oh my God, see my mind, just gone, right? All the proper foods they could be having, do you know what I mean? But these guys are just on like some cheese and wine. Seriously, is that the excitement of your party, right? Even though, right, at that time, you know what I was thinking of? It's just gone again. It's just Okay. I was thinking of mini fish. It's just gone again. Every time I'm thinking about it, every time it comes back, like, it's coming back mini fish fillet. But that's not the. That's not. I mean, you know what I mean? Mini fish fritters. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. So mini fish fritters, right? Some micro dumplings, right? And some mini Jamaican patties, right? That's party food, right? This nonsense, right? And some chicken pieces on a stick, right? This nonsense, right? Cheese and flipping wine. There's one boring ass party. Let me tell you that, right? If that's what you have at your party, yeah, then your motherfuckers are boring. Okay, right? And you need to think about what you're feeding people up in there. Right? Seriously. Yeah, so this picture that's out this morning with the cheese and wine, right? And it's gardens in the gardens of Downing Street. Very nice gardens in Downing Street, by the way, right? Yeah, and so they're all sat there, not really social distancing. Do you know what I mean? It's like they was in pods, right? But on that day, yeah, the government message was, don't meet more than one person outside. On that particular day. That was their message, right? And then they're there, right, in a gathering, right, sitting around with loads of them sitting around, right? So, and I can remember, right, two old ladies, right, they met in a park or in the woods, sat on a bench, and next thing they had the TSG fly down on them, and gave them fines, right, for meeting outdoors, right, and having a cup of tea on a bench. Right, but these guys are having gatherings, right, where they're having cheese and wine. Right. But let's speak about some Brexit quickly because I haven't been meaning to go on this long about that nonsense before, right? But over the weekend, you'll be very sad to know that Lord Frost has resigned. Right? I think that this means that the oven-ready deal has just defrosted, right? But it was a chicken meal. Right, and you didn't realise that your freezer had defrosted for 3 days. It's chicken. Not sure we're able to use that now, right? But so Lord Frost has resigned, and Liz Truss is taking over. Right now, Lord Frost, right, would have known that this job, right, was virtually impossible. He knew it was an impossible task. He knew that from before he took the job, because Lord Frost was. He was a Remainer, just like the person that Boris Johnson has put into the job now was a Remainer. And if they're Remainers and they understand how the EU works, right, then they understand that they're on a thankless task. Their task, right, they're on a task what they can't do. They're never going to do what they want to do. It's not going to happen. Right? It's just not going to happen, right? Because the EU have their rules for third countries, but Lord Frost took this job on and said, we're British, and because we're British, right, these people, right, are going to listen to what we want, and they're going to give us anything we want. And the thing is, right, if you say it enough times, right, people believe it now. Just not in the EU. Over here, because remember, this is what these guys sold to you. They said, don't worry, the deal will be exactly the same as we got before. Because they need us more than we need them. That's a fact. This is what these guys told you. That's guaranteed. It's a fact. Right? So this is why Lord Frost could say, well, you know something? Even though I know I'm on a task here, I can't, there's no way that I can pull this off, I'm still just going to tell people, you know something? The EU, right, are going to do what we say. But anyway, right, Liz Truss, right, is on the case, and I'm quite sure, as you know, right, the EU right now, yeah, are probably shaking in their boots. The EU's probably saying, let me see you dance. Unbelievable, right? That that Boris Johnson would even. I don't even know why he's even sending someone else to go and do the job what Lord Frost was doing. But Lord Frost has, Lord Frost actually said it was, the reason why he's resigning. It's got nothing to do with like the over the EU business. Didn't even mention that. It's all about the COVID rules. It's all about that. Right? Not the fact that I'm not getting anywhere with the EU and I'm just making myself look like a fool. But anyway, guys, listen, I've gone on for far too long here. This is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.